Floyd's Mayhem Garage. I think I'm going to try to get my 67 Charger rolling today. So, let's see what that's going to take. My idea here is, I've got this, if you can see what this is, or recognize it at all. This is the front stub section to a 67 Charger. I had purchased this a while back from a friend that was porting out some Chargers. I forget what I paid for this, but I ended up getting it up for a really cheap price. So it was just one of those. I didn't really need it, but I went ahead and purchased it. And lo and behold, I can use it now. So I don't need any of the sheet metal structure. Surprisingly, this thing's relatively solid. It's got some rust in some normal areas, and it's got some in the cowl area, which is kind of weird. But the torsion bar cross member is solid. Floor, of course, had some rust. That's unusual. But this thing has K-frame, front suspension, torsion bars, steering, power steering box, pretty much everything I need. I'm going to unbolt all of this and take it over to my 67 Charger, my baby blue one that I have, and bolt it up to the front end of that. And the idea is I want to get the 67 just to a state that it can roll around. And because right now it's kind of in the way back where it sits, and I have no good way of moving it other than just dragging it across the ground with the tractor. So I want to be able to at least change that. And then of course I've been toying around with the idea, a couple different ideas here and there, of actually building that car too and making a fun, just complete Thrasher project, and do kind of a General Mayhem theme or kind of a NASCAR style, something or other, something along the lines of that. Yeah, so that's where we're here. Let's get, I don't know, cutting probably. I don't think I'm gonna be unbolting much, but we'll see. Hopefully a lot of this unbolts. So I broke my torsion bar removal tool a while back, and of course I kind of forgot all about it until now. So instead of spending time fixing it, figured I'd improvise. And surprisingly, this is actually working. So I just stacked up 3 vice grips, slid a little bit, but it is actually starting to pull it out. So I've had these be kind of a nightmare, and this one's being a little tough, but it's not bad. I've had to, what I ended up doing was just hit this with a hammer on each side a few times. Nothing real aggressive, but just helps break it loose. And same with down here. And if that doesn't do it, I've also had to heat these up with a torch, and that helps break them loose in here as well. But this one I just tapped on it a few times on each side, started hammering, and it started coming out. So sure enough, the old vice grip method works. Let's see, can I get you set up anywhere here? Yeah, maybe. Probably can't see anything at that angle. Let's try that one. Yeah, maybe. And just like that, torsion bar is out. One down, one to go. Getting there. Okay, so this side came out just fine. This side is a pain in the ass, but heated up here. It appears to be stuck here because I do have it moving on this end. It moves and pivots around on here. So I've got it picked up with the skid steer. All the bolts are out, so this whole thing is loose right now. So I think I might have to get a little bit more tension on it, but I should be able to get this out. Moving it, wiggling it's moving a little bit. Gave it a couple taps here, and it was coming out. Oh yeah, she's moving at least. I think give her a few more yanks with the tractor going up, and we should have her. Getting a little ahead of myself here. I suppose you guys probably want to see what's happening, huh? So, got the skid steer, hooked up the chain, picked it up, and got it blocked up at the cross member back there. So now the front's just hanging up. Brought in a piece of wood, just so I can roll the jack. Brought some tools and muscled the K-frame and everything underneath there, and got it jacked up with a piece of wood underneath the center link. Center link's not really designed for that, but there's not really a whole lot of pressure application happening here, so it's just to hold the K-member up while I get some bolts in. And yeah, that's where we're at. Bolt that thing together. I gotta get the upper control arms in, and in fact this one's actually even got control arms. Well, sure, that might make things a little easier. Does this side have one? No, that side doesn't have one. Well, maybe I'll just do that. So maybe I'll separate the top ball joint here and just use that one. And yeah, may not worry about torsion bars. Just let it rest on the bump stops. See how low it is. Because they are there. I should be able to tap them in. And yeah, hopefully, I know with how mangled this radiator support is, and then this fender was pretty messed up. This side is tweaked. So hopefully the K-member bolts in, and if it does, it'll be good enough to thrash around on. Yeah, that's where we're at. this is where I'm at. So no axle underneath the back. We're just sitting on blocks, but set the tires there to give an idea of the look. These are, of course, the wheels and tires off of my swept line. 17x8 Krager Soft 8s painted Alpine white. I think they look pretty sharp on this car. This thing's got just a crazy look to it. I'm really actually digging this thing. This is actually a pretty cool car. So, whole idea of everything I was doing here. K-frame, front suspension's in now. That all needs work, but it's movable now. And, well, sort of. Other than the rear axle, I did want to move it up here, because now I'm in front of the shop. And I can actually work on it a little easier now. But, so next will be get the rear leaf springs in and get the axle in, and then it can actually sit there by itself as a roller. So, and then I'll figure out what to do with it at that point. But I'm starting to really dig this car. I missed my 66 a little bit, you know. Naturally, regardless of what kind of car it is, you always tend to miss your own cars. But I think this one, just how ratty and hoopty and chunky this thing is, I think is just making it so much more fun. Because there's basically no rules as to what I can do with this, or you know, what I need to do with this. It's do whatever you want. So I think it could be a lot of fun. So yeah. Just sit here and stare at it. It looks so horrible, but it looks awesome at the same time. All right. Day 2 of getting the 67 rolling on its own. Still no axle. After dark last night, spent some time in the garage. I got the leaf springs that I got from another car. These are actually out of a 67 Charger. I got new bushings on them. That's what all the remnants of that is down there. Pretty straightforward. The rears came right out. There's no sleeve or anything. The fronts were the rubber bushing. They were so bad, they just pressed almost right out. Or hammered right out. And then there was the steel sleeve left over. And I just used an air chisel to get the sleeve out. And these are new bushings that don't use the sleeve. So, other than that, these leaf springs look horrible, but they'll work for this car. And then, of course, couldn't get these bolts undone. They were frozen together and the heads were actually starting to rust away. So, cutting torch on that one did a fabulous job and got a little too overconfident on the second one. And cut into that one quite a bit with the cutting torch. So, I've got to add back to that. I'll weld it back up and grind it flat. Not a big deal. And that's where we're at. Don't have the right bolts for the front spring hanger, so I need to go get some. So, let's roll in style. Let's take the General Mayhem. What a great parts car, huh? Parts runner. Thought I had bolts big enough for the front hanger, but they're pretty massive. So, I got the hanger with me. That bad boy. And let's go get some bolts for it. Oh, I love this car too. I tell you what, these ratty, you know, not nice cars are so much fun to drive. You know, you don't gotta worry about door dings, you don't gotta worry about, you know, rubber on the quarter panels when you do a burnout. You do obviously want to avoid, you know, major body damage. So you don't want to go, you know, demolition derby with this thing or jump it. But man, are these things fun. Well, got kind of ahead of myself. Just got an axle now, and Taylor's here.
Check it out. And
Taylor, would you like to explain why there's a ratchet strap around the doors?
Yeah. So I came here earlier, I was like, oh, this thing's sweet. I opened the door and the door just fell straight on the ground. I don't think I messed it up too bad.
I don't think it matters if you did.
There's some paint chips on the ground now. Yeah,
I haven't laughed that hard in a long time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's no door hinges or anything on this. I just literally set the doors there just so I could take pictures and look at it.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much the funniest thing I think I've ever seen. But yeah, got the axle under the back, and it sits really high.
A little bouncy too.
It's not bad now that I picked the front end up a little bit, but it's definitely very bouncy. No shocks or anything hooked up to the back, but it seems super soft. So
yeah, really tall compared to your other 66 with the same leaf springs, right?
Yeah,
They might have just been worn out, but
I think they were just super worn out. Yeah, but that thing, you know, with no air shocks or anything assist wise, that thing, you know, was damn near dragging on the ground, sitting low wise. But this thing's looking sharp.
Yeah, now you can push it around. It's easier than it sitting on pallets.
Yeah.
And you got a steering wheel on there now.
Yeah, put a steering column in it. It's just baling wired in. So, but I can at least, it's coupled up and I can at least steer it now. So pushing around and steer it and let it sit for, I don't know, how long.
Yeah, it depends how many warm days we get, because I feel like you're not going to want to be working on it in the cold. But...
Not only that, how often have I done this?
Huh.
I've got a freaking, well no, I've got a freaking 69 Daytona sitting in the shop.
Yeah.
Though it's a clone. Yeah, and I'm working on this hoopty of a car right here.
I think we all want to see the nose cone and, you know, basically that whole car kind of get back together.
Which means I shouldn't steal the automatic for it and put it in here.
Or...
because I need to get a motor in that before I put the front end on.
Sure, I suppose so. Or just do it all at once.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah, I know.
Have you told them what you're kind of contemplating about the transmissions and all that?
I don't think I have. I think I mentioned it.
Yeah.
I may have, glanced over it on a mention, but yeah. So my idea-wise here, I pulled the motor and transmission out of the Daytona because I wanted the torque converter for the General Mayhem over there. And the reason I did that was because it was a 3500 stall torque converter. And I'm planning on putting taller gears in the Daytona to make it more of a highway cruiser car, since that's pretty much what the car is. It's supposed to go fast top end wise. Yeah. So I wanted to put some probably like 323s in there, and the torque converter would have just smoked with those gears. So I pulled all that apart. Plus I pulled the 383 out to put the 440 in, since it needs to have a 440 for the Daytona clone. And now that I have all of that apart, I was also planning on doing a 4-speed swap on the swap line. Take the truck 4-speed out and put the car 4-speed in. But as of now, that hasn't happened, and I have that car 4-speed laying around.
Right.
So Taylor here mentioned how cool that'd be to put into this car, and that kind of got my, mind, brainstorm going. Well, if I'm not going to put that in the swap line, I'm going to put it in the car. A 4-speed in this hoopty 67 Charger would be badass, but I think a 4-speed in the Daytona would be even cooler.
Seems like the proper way to go.
I think so.
One step closer to a Hemi 4-speed car.
Yeah, pretty much. And if I go that route, which at this point it kind of seems like I am, that means the automatic that was in the Daytona is currently not slated for a vehicle.
Yeah, so you have an extra
which would basically, it was built, it's probably got 1,000 miles on it maybe.
Right.
So that means I could put this one together, the 67 Charger, with the 383 and the transmission out of the Daytona. And I've got a couple torque converters laying around. I'd probably a 2500 stall is what I have a few laying around of.
Yeah.
And throw it in here. Yeah. So
like a bad idea.
I think I could make this a running and driving car for next to nothing. Right. I would need to buy a disc brake conversion. I mean, I don't want to die. But other than that, I mean, I even have a radiator. My dad, for his car, bought a radiator and ended up being too tall, and it wouldn't clear his hood. So this one, if you notice, the core support on the bottom doesn't look so hot, so I don't think I'd be too upset about trimming that out to make the radiator sit lower. Right. Especially if it's free. So that's sitting in my trailer right now. Yeah.
Sounds like a good idea. And you can just keep driving your truck, because you wanted to put that car 4-speed in there to kind of get more closer ratio, I guess, right?
Yeah, because with the same thing, I put taller gears in that. I put 323 gears in that.
Yeah.
And the idea was for better highway cruising. Mm-hmm. But with the truck 4-speed in that, you drive it basically like a 3-speed. Yeah. So the gear jumps are super far apart. So you're screaming in second gear, and you shift to third, and the RPMs drop almost all the way back down to like idle.
So that does suck, but it's a nice running, driving.
It runs and drives. It does donuts. It does burnouts.
Right.
It runs and drives.
Yeah.
So maybe that'll just have to be a future project, because I know I'm not done buying parts.
Yeah, I mean, this will basically hold you back from having to spend any money for, I don't know, 6 months, a year, however long until if you finish these projects up.
Pretty much. You know, aside from spending a little bit here and there on some little parts, shocks and mounts and stuff like that.
Right.
Brake lines.
I don't know. I vote throw a 4-speed in the Daytona. That's my vote.
I think that's where we're at.
Yeah.
I think that'd be pretty cool. So, I think that's gonna happen. So I think that means this is getting a 3D3 automatic, which means I have the parts. So
should be running quick.
when's that project starting?
Right.
Well, I think I'm running out of room in the shop. I could clean, I suppose, but we got to get my sister's truck in here and put a motor in that.
Which one?
Her highboy.
Oh,
my dad's been built that 390 for it.
Sure.
So he promised her a motor when he gave her that truck. What, 3 years ago?
Yeah, so motor's good to go now?
Yeah, it's been ready. So
nice.
We gotta clear up some space and get that in here. But so yeah, I think that's a plan at least.
I like it.
So I think this thing's gonna get a 3D3 and a automatic, which also means the Daytona, because I'm gonna go higher speed or higher, for driving speed. That's got a 391 shear grip in it already as well.
Throw that right.
So I can yank the rear end, which means I'm basically gonna disassemble the Daytona to almost nothing.
Right.
But maybe that's a good opportunity to do some body work and paint.
Right.
So I'm not far from actually having that thing painted.
True.
So maybe I should just do that.
Hey, if we get this thing running, this is almost the same platform as your General Mayhem over there.
Pretty much.
Maybe do some head-to-head. You can let me drive this thing. I don't want to wreck that, but I'll wreck this.
You've already wrecked it.
Yeah, you're right. Off the door. I'm breaking it in.
Breaking it, yeah. Yeah, that'd be actually fun. We might have to do something just like that.
That'd be fun, yeah.
Because this is pretty much my idea with this, now that I'm wanting to build this, is the kind of a mix between General Mayhem and kind of a NASCAR style, or just pieced together.
Right. Like a
and
Ratty
just fun.
Car that you can just thrash on.
Yeah. One of those I absolutely don't have to worry about, scratching the paint.
Yeah. You have a lot of extra panels too. Not this panel, I don't think, but the front side of the car you have a couple, right?
Are you questioning my parts?
What, do you have a couple of these too?
I do.
Oh, well, fuck it, yeah.
Who doesn't have extra quarter panels for their 67 Charger?
Right.
Come on.
What am I talking to?
Yeah, they're not as, they are rusty, but I do have extra quarter panels.
Sweet.
Why, I don't know, but I do.
Yeah.
So yeah, literally I could wreck this thing and make it a car again.
Yeah. Not that we want to, but
No, not that we want to, but yeah, just per se, if you happen to wreck it while we're having fun, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I guess pretty much wrap up on this. It rolls now, it's under its own suspension, and I can steer it, and so I can move it around now. And basically just figure out when I want to get started on it, because I wasn't really planning on building this, but I think I am now. So, and you'll see that here.